forsaken booth. The truth is you sadly mistaken proof I'm better than.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let us talk about SmackDown from November the 19th, 2021, and what was no doubt one of the better episodes of SmackDown. They really bounced back, did a good job with some storytelling here, seeds for the next several weeks, and some build to Survivor Series. They really did some useful, efficient things with their time, unlike Raw, which completely wastes time all the time. They did some good stuff with time here on SmackDown. And furthering the feuds that already exist and building feuds for the future and touching on Survivor Series. There is, of course, some gaping holes that we need to discuss, specifically in the build for Survivor Series. For instance, there has been zero build whatsoever. I don't think there's even been commercials, but I don't even think they mentioned on Raw that Damian Priest will be wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura at Survivor Series. There was no promo between the two of them, no conversation between the two of them. They just kind of went on about their business. Also, almost zero feud between the Usos, Riddle, and Randy Orton as well. Almost nothing. And then also the ever-present, can they coexist? In both the men's Survivor Series match and the women's Survivor Series match. So those things are a problem. But I think most of the Survivor Series build was pretty damn good. And I'm really, really, really enjoying the King Woods Roman Reigns segments on SmackDown. So we get the start of the show is the Usos introducing Roman Reigns after they give some words to RK Bro, which, don't really mean much of anything at this point. But they said that the voices in their head say they the ones, which is always funny to me. For some reason, whenever they say we the ones, I can't help but laugh. So Roman is introduced as the tribal king. Heyman gives the spiel, talks about how the king doesn't belong to Xavier Woods, Brock Lesnar, or Big E, and all these people are going to get battered and beaten and shaken up by Roman. And Roman was looking at all of this circumstance, the throne and the scepter and all that. He's looking at this stuff with utter disgust and said that he doesn't need any of this stuff because he put in the work. Then he demanded for Hartford to acknowledge him, which was great. Then he says that the only reason he took the crown was because he can, which I think is, that's great bully stuff. I can take your shit, so I will. Later, Xavier Woods comes out and says that the materials are his property, sure, but that doesn't make him a good king. What makes him a king is that he's out here trying to do good things for SmackDown, trying to make the roster better, etc. And then said that if you were a real king, if you were a real man, you settle this thing with me in the ring, without the Usos. Reigns said, oh, so you don't care about this stuff? Oh, so you don't care about any of this stuff? And Xavier Woods was like, no, I don't care about any of this stuff. So Reigns looks to Jay, and Jay blows his nose with the cape. Xavier Woods is like, clothes don't make the man. And he's like, continue. So he breaks the scepter over his knee. And now Xavier Woods is like, what is going on? But he doesn't do anything. Roman continues. The Usos then destroy the chair, the throne. They pick it up, slam it down. All this stuff is falling apart like it's made of, styrofoam at this point. Like, we can tell that it's all just props. So they're just destroying this stuff very, very easily. And they're breaking the chair up and everything. They threw it outside the ring. Pat McAfee is losing his mind. So then the crown, and Roman keeps asking him each time, like, hey, are you sure you don't care about this stuff? And Xavier Woods is like, trying to be stoic, trying to be steadfast in what he said. In which case, once the crown was put down on the ground by Roman, he's like he's going to step on it. Xavier Woods gets in the ring. He gets jumped by the bloodline. And Roman tells him quite flatly, I'm the only king around here. I don't need this. And he stomps the crown, completely destroying it. And says that, he's the one. He doesn't need any props. Excellent scene. Excellent stuff. Man, this was fantastic. It was so much packed into here. I mean, there's a lot of people who would say, well, Xavier Woods lied. These things meant a lot to him in the end because he tried to save the crown. And I say that's partly true. I think part of it also is he's destroying his property. It's not the thing itself. It's what the things represent. You know, we know going into this whole thing how he wanted to be the king of the ring so very badly. Xavier Woods, all he ever wanted was to be king of the ring. All he ever wanted was the crown and the scepter and to be king of the ring. And that's what all this stuff represents. It's no different than somebody, taking your belt and destroying it. You want to be world champion, right? And then you like, yeah, I want to be world champion. And somebody's just saying, okay, well, I'm going to throw your belt in the goddamn river. I'm going to take this hammer and destroy the WWF championship like Mr. Perfect did to Hulk Hogan. I'm going to completely decimate the thing that you said you care about. But it's never supposed to be about material things because heroes are not materialistic. But heroes, while not being materialistic, also understand that materials do have value. And just because you don't put, a high value on it, doesn't mean that it does not have value. It still has value. And he said, these are just things. You can take my things. These are just things. But once you start destroying stuff, what you're destroying is the value. You're destroying what they represent. It is a complete and total, if you were to ask average people, do they care about things? They would say no, until you start breaking their shit. Like, do you really care? No, I don't really care that much at all about this kind of stuff. It's kind of transitory. Most things that you buy, you're going to be throwing it away, or at some point, whether it's your phone or some people even get rid of houses. That doesn't mean you want to let people throw bricks through your window. It doesn't mean somebody can slash the tires on your car because I plan to get a new car in 2 months anyway. That's not what it means. It's the principle. Like, look at all the effort and the time that you put into getting this car, even if you think it's a piece of shit and you hate it. The fact that somebody want to throw a brick through it is offensive, and it's an affront to all of the hard work you've ever done in building anything. And that's what the crown and all of this stuff represented. It's finally it represented all of his hard work. He was saying that these things do not validate me. That was what Xavier Woods was trying to say to Roman. These things do not validate my kingdom. It does not make me a king. But they do represent his hard work. And it was a nice little twist because Roman said it earlier. I don't care about this stuff because I put in the work. That's what Roman said. And Xavier Woods said the same thing. But Roman has a championship. And he holds the championship up every chance he gets. He puts it in the air so everyone can see it. He's validated by the championship. Xavier Woods has no other validation other than the King of the Ring materials. Right? So when he starts to destroy those things, he is not searching for validation in that way, but it does have value. So it's a completely different thing. But it was very smart, and it was very excellent storytelling that Roman would go that route. Finding something to screw with you about. I think it's a very interesting thing to do with the King of the Ring. Because it's a tournament that people still have value for, despite the fact that it doesn't happen all the time. It's not a yearly thing. At least hopefully it goes back to being yearly. So it's a rare reward for a wrestler, a rare push. And these things do have value, and they have made stars before. So it was a great job that they did here. And Xavier Woods is a complete package. I mean, the guy he sells really well. He can cut promos. He's got great facial expressions and body language. And he's got great fire too. The only problem is he's just so damn short. Now he's not, Jonathan Gresham short. He's not, Drake Maverick short, which, would be lethal for his career if he was that short. But he's, I don't think he's believable in a main event role, long term, I should say. But I think that he's doing some of the best stuff he's ever done. He's really justifying him being King of the Ring. He's really justifying it to me. And I have to say, if I knew they were going to do something like this when they gave him King of the Ring, I wouldn't have said anything about it. So I'm okay with being wrong. They're doing something good with the King of the Ring. Now, he's still going to be King of the Ring, of course, but maybe he's just more have the crown and the scepter and all of the gaudy stuff that goes with it. He'll go back to being a more traditional King of the Ring, kind of like Edge or something like that. And you know what? That'll be cool. I'm sure they're going to do something similar to Zelina where they're going to destroy her stuff too. Probably going to be some babyface who are going to, break her crown and break her scepter and everything in order to get over. Probably be Rhea Ripley or something like that. So, it's cool to get out of that gimmick, to still be the king, but to get rid of the scepter and the crown and all the unnecessary stuff that everybody hates anyway. So that was good. That was excellent. An excellent opening. And then we see something that is also fantastic in terms of storytelling. As they are going to the back, Xavier Woods has the crown clutched to his chest. And he's, hobbling. But he's clutching the crown to his chest. Because that's all that's left. That's all that's left of his, what he represents and all of his hard work. That's all that's left is this little piece of the crown that he has clutched to his chest. So now it does have meaning, because now this is all that remains. Before he had, it was a little too gaudy. Imagine you have, a bunch of cars and somebody sets fire to 5 or your 6 cars. Now you only got 1 car left. You really cherish that 1 car. You really like, come on, you can't take this away from me too. And that's kind of how I read him clutching that little piece of the crown. And, with legit passion in his voice, he says that, it's about time to end this. For Roman to face me one-on-one, he's going to make the Roman Empire fall. I said, okay, all right. I thought he was going to have a match. Then I was kind of like, okay, well, yeah, that'd be interesting. But they really did that last week. And then we saw that it wasn't a match. Xavier Woods just came to the ring and stood in the ring and called out Roman. Roman told the Usos, y'all, stay back here. I got this. He wasn't wearing wrestling gear or anything. So I kind of figured it wasn't going to be a match. Roman takes forever to get to the ring. Then Heyman calls for the Usos. Usos don't come. He's continuously waving the Usos, and the Usos ain't coming. As you know, the Usos come. When one Uso comes tumbling like a little piece of tumbleweed comes out of the backstage, and he just rolling around the ground like, oh. And then here comes the other one, do. And then Big E music plays, and he gets a monster pop. Big E and Roman stare at each other, and Roman, because he's not a cowardly heel, he doesn't run away. Instead, he charges to fight Big E and gets, beat back. Roman, turns tail a little bit, gets in the ring, and Xavier Woods is in there, and they proceed to stomp him, both of them. Then the Usos come in there. They fight the Usos off, beat them up. Roman escapes, and we end this whole thing with with the New Day standing strong. Big E is staring a hole in Roman. And Xavier Woods is standing strong too. Of course, this is all just a precursor to Roman beating Big E at Survivor Series, which I think is virtually inevitable. It would really validate Big E to beat Roman, but I don't think they would waste Roman's first pinfall loss. As much as Big E is everyone's favorite guy, I think that the first pinfall loss Roman takes should be to whoever is going to take the belt from him. I don't see the reason to give that to Big E. He doesn't need it. He's the champion. This is why I don't like champion versus champion matches, though, because neither one of them, Big E is too new in the main event spot to be losing. But he's already in the main event spot, so him beating Roman is just it's a hat on a hat. So I'm not really a fan of that. But I have loved this storyline. I think this storyline is tremendous. From an archetypal perspective, which is the perspective I really like. You can't have two kings. I think I said this the first time. You can't have two kings. There is no two kings in the same land. Now, Egypt, they used to have a lower kingdom and an upper kingdom, if I remember correctly. I think it was a red crown and a white crown, where the red crown of Egypt would be like a larger landmass, and the white crown of Egypt would be a smaller landmass. But it was clearly that one was higher than the other. And in this situation, when you have kings, kings are, of course, gods on earth. They are absolute, in a way. So you cannot have two in one place. This is why, oftentimes you would have so many wars, like in Europe. And, these little fiefdoms would cross over, and you can't have two chiefs. Who's going to be in control? So SmackDown is no different. You can't have two kings. Having Xavier Woods on the same roster as Roman, them having butting heads was inevitable. I love how they did it too, by, it's a significant push for Xavier Woods. Now, of course, we have to ask the question, is that going to be Roman's opponent post Survivor Series? That maybe we're going to have a string of Xavier Woods versus Roman Reigns matches. I'm down for that, because this has been a pretty good hook here. Now, I think they should have saved the destroying everything for that, if that's what they were going to do. Instead of sacrificing all of Xavier Woods' possessions for Roman's match with Big E, they could have just had Roman beat up and maybe put down Xavier Woods a little bit. And then have Xavier Woods, much like Kofi, return after Survivor Series, so that Roman can say he put down all three members of the New Day. And then you have King Woods' triumphant return. That would be better. But this is fine too, because this was great storytelling from beginning to end. And I'm really looking forward to that match. Big E versus Roman. I love it. I think WWE loves it too, mainly because Big E was one of the guys he had such high hopes for when he was in FCW and in NXT. And he's finally realizing that. Finally coming to fruition that Big E is going to be something. Hopefully, he's going to be something for the long term and not something for the short term. Because one of Raw's huge problems is that Raw does not have any stars. Raw has no stars. I mean, they've done horrible things to everybody. So it's very difficult for anybody to get over and stay over, especially on the women's side, because they do nothing but create a revolving door of people losing, and they've done it to the men too. They did this whole thing with Drew McIntyre, had him beat everybody within the first 6 months, and then he was boring. Then anytime somebody got hot, either they got taken off TV, which has happened to Damian Priest and Keith Lee, or they did stupid booking decisions like Karrion Kross, or they fired him, or something like that. So there's always been something going on with Raw where they just never are allowed to tread water. And Raw has absolutely, positively suffered from that. And it really makes Raw a terrible show. But so hopefully we can get some stability with Big E. And, this him losing won't hurt him too bad because it's too Roman. But the problem I have here is I think the WWE champion has lost pretty much every brand to brand competition since they started. AJ Styles was the WWE champion. He lost. Bryan Danielson was the WWE champion. He lost. Who was the WWE champion last year and they lost? Was it Drew McIntyre? Yeah, it was Drew McIntyre. He was WWE champion last year and he lost. So I do believe that it might be time for the WWE title to get a dub over the Universal belt. But it's not like it's going to matter anyway, because people still see the Universal title as not being the same belt as the WWE Championship. And I think you could say that it's not the A title anymore. I think you could say that because Roman is on the A show and Roman's the biggest draw in the business. It doesn't really matter which W he carries at this point, right? He just happened to carry the blue one. So I don't know, but I think it is time for the WWE champion to get a dub. But I don't think it's gonna happen this time because Big E is he's he's an elevated upper mid carder right now. He's not going to be closing any shows. And I think the return to single brand pay-per-views will probably help him. I know I said that before, and I know a lot of people don't like that. But I don't see why they wouldn't do it, considering, well, I see why they wouldn't do it in terms of, trying to sell out buildings. That would be difficult. But from the Peacock perspective, you could definitely run 2 brand pay-per-views to probably get people to buy Peacock. They could get 2 events a month or something like that. Get a Raw event, a SmackDown event, and then you get 2 nights of WrestleMania, and they'll probably have to extend SummerSlam to that same. I don't want that. That's way too much. Now that I think about it, that's way too much. Nah, I'm good. We're good with how we are. But the WWE title is not going to main event over the Universal belt anytime soon. So I guess they might as well just beat it again, I guess. Which sucks. But this was fantastic. This was a great segment. Kudos to all involved. The Usos have been doing really good work. And so has Xavier Woods. He's been a blast to watch in this role since this whole thing has started with him and the Bloodline. Everything before it was absolute garbage, but everything that it has been involved in the Bloodline has been very good. All right, so I decided, since I did 20 minutes on one segment, to actually break this up. So thank you guys for listening. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you in SmackDown Review Part 2.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question as